Okay, so we're back. Another Hansshow product to review here, and do a little quick install and show it to you guys. This looks the same as you've seen before. If you're just looking at the screen, you see Model 3 and Y Ultra Mini screen display, and you're thinking, Dax, you showed me this before, but I haven't. I haven't. I'll show you why. This is, well, I have and I haven't. Same screen, but better. More features, things that the other one didn't have, that this one does have, that's long been awaited and it's been asked for. For example, it's a touchscreen now, and it has Apple Carplay and Android Auto. So let's quickly open it up, take a quick look. Little instruction manual. Which, you know what? There is a QR code here for the installation videos. Let's just take this packaging out and take a quick look at it. Oh, look at this. They've improved. It's a zipper bag. That's pretty good. Like a Ziploc bag. And inside, the tool, the removal tool, which is very essential and very needed. This is a pair of gloves. That's cool. Handshow's giving you installation gloves. So you know what? That's they're stepping up the game. I gotta say, Handshow's stepping up their game for sure. What else am I doing? And then of course the wiring harnesses. There's two here. I'm assuming one's for AMD, one's for Intel, because this is very compatible for both. We'll have to go through the instructions and see which is which. What else do we have in here? Oh, this is the front-facing camera for the front bumper camera. They've packaged it and protected it in this nice little spongy bag. And here is the extension cable for said camera. So, and they've packaged it a lot better in this. Oh, just dropped some. Oh, that's the installation adhesive. They've packaged it now in this kind of automotive protective loom or conduit, which is good. So once again, Hansshow definitely is stepping up their game in the manufacture and the installation parts. Oh, and then last but not least, in the bag, there's some installation screws in there, but they also give you, look at this, a USB-C to USB-A adapter, and it says Hansshow right on it. So that's going to come in handy for updates. So putting that all aside, looking at the screen itself, if you pull the screen out of the box, here is the screen in all its glory. If I can find the opening, there we go. Now this is called the F68 intelligence screen, and the reason they call it F68 is because it's 6.8 inches big. So it's not the 9 or 10 inch screen, it's a smaller one. It's the one that attaches to the steering column, like I've showed you before. So it's smaller, but it's big enough, I think. I didn't have a problem with the size before, but it's a perfect size and perfect location where it doesn't block the vent. If you were one of those people that didn't want a screen because it was blocking the vent that was right in front of the steering wheel and you needed that airflow, then this is a better solution for you, I think. And here's the cabling to hook up to the camera and for power and stuff like that. And note, this new one has a speaker. So a speaker on the back. Let's go put it in. Okay, like I said, the Hansshow install video is so good that I'm just going to use this and talk over it because they did a pretty good job. So first you got to take these triangular side pieces out on either side, the driver's side and the passenger side. Just use your trim removal tool and it just pops up. And that'll allow you to take the center dashboard off where the air comes through. And you can use the tool, but if you just hold your hand and pull it up, the whole thing will just come off on either side. Then once you take it out, there's no wires. You can just remove the whole thing out of the car. Then the next step is removing the steering wheel top cap and use the pry tool for that. It's a little hard. You got to get in there. It's a little tight fit, but use the pry tool to get in between there. It has 4 little fasteners or connectors that are in. 2 at the front and 2 at the back you got to get to. Once that's off, then this is the brave part. You have to get to the center console charging trim. Start at the back, put the seats all the way back to make it easier, and do it on either side, and just go along making your way to the front and it'll pop off. Then when you get here, let me stop and show you something. Okay, so taking the center console off is a necessary evil. You have to take it off to get to the power, but it's not easy. It sounds like it's gonna break and it's really snug, but it won't break. You just have to, once you get these ends off, the side trim here, the hardest part is when you get to the main console part that's all attached. You have to make sure it's off on the sides here. The video doesn't show it very well. And then pull up. Now, this is the hardest part. It's on really good. You got to use some force. Just be gentle, but have enough force, and also have some patience. It will come up. Okay, once you have half your center console taken apart, it looks worse than it actually is, folks. It isn't. So this is the wire under the wireless charging that you have to take off. So just contort the center console up and away so you can get here from the passenger side. There's a tab here. So that tab has to lift up. Once you lift that up, the whole thing will come right out, just like in the video there. Just a quick pro tip. Before you put this back in, make sure these wirings are up, but also push this in to open. Because as you see, when you push it, it pushes it all the way to the back. That way, when you put it in, the wires will be on top and won't get stuck and caught. Actually, it'd be a good idea to take this wire here with the existing wire and just get a tie wrap and tie wrap it together. Then we moved on to the passenger side door trim. Just take that rubber out. That'll get in the way. You can put that in easily afterwards. There's a top little plastic trim using the removal tool that just pops out if you just use the removal tool. And then there's one of these little round fasteners that you just have to pop out to get the bottom piece out. Once that's out, then the whole bottom piece will come out right where the kick plate is. Put that aside. Once that's out, there's another one, those little round fasteners that's holding a piece of the carpet trim in. Take that out because you need to get to the wiring back there. Then move on to the front. You take the front cover off the front. That just snaps off very easily. Then you use a 10mm socket, and then you unscrew 4 bolts in the front. 2 at the front right by the bumper, and 2 in the front itself. Put those aside so you don't lose them. Then you need to remove the access panel that includes the emergency release for the front. Be careful, there's wiring in there that you have to undo before you take the whole panel off. Then once that is done, the whole front should just come out easily. Now the fun part begins, where you have to fish the camera wiring right through that right there. That's a conduit hole there that goes back into the car from the passenger side front area. That's all rubber. In this video, they show you that you actually cut it. They have 2 nubs. They just cut the one nub and fish it through. You can do that if you like, but there's a way to get through it otherwise. And then you just fish the camera wiring through, just like you would do normally, and that comes out the other side, which is the interior of the car, as you can see here. Once that's done, then you just trace the wire along the dashboard, put it up in an area where it's away from the vents and it won't get in the way of the clips. Then you have to apply the adhesive strip somewhere on the front bumper and onto the camera mount. That's the camera mount. You just put the adhesive on there, and then you fish that wire through the front flaps, part of the grill. Those flaps open up, and if you stick your hand in there, you have small enough hands, you can get in there and get to the other side, and then mount it whichever way you want. You have to clean the area before you do it and mount it where you think it's the best. Then you have to decide if you have an AMD chip or an Intel chip. If you have an Intel chip, this video isn't for you. You'll have to find another video for that. If you have an AMD chip, it's very, very simple. Okay. Going back to the steering wheel, you have to take that leather dust collector off. You have to reattach it to the new steering wheel cover. And there's just 2 little clips, round clips on either side, little push pin clips. You just use the removal tool and pop those out on either side. Then you lay your wiring down. This is the tricky part. You have to snake the wiring down through the steering wheel column and out through the bottom. When you get it through the bottom, there's a little sponge trim piece that is right below the steering column. Just push that sponge aside and you'll be able to get to the wiring. From there, there's some panels there. Be careful, that's where your knee airbags are. So there's some panels there that you can fish the wiring through. I wasn't able to find it that easy, so my wiring is just under there and tucked up underneath. It's pretty dark under there, you won't see it. I think it's pretty neat. Then this is the part where you have to plug in the black wiring harness into the wireless charger power, because this is where you need to get the power from. Then looking at the screen, you have to plug in the camera that you've already ran to the screen and then plug in the power and all the data cable there. Okay, just before we put the dash back together, let's just make sure it works. There's Apple Carplay. It's all set up and everything. That works. The camera works. Yeah, it all works. Okay, to put it back in, just like the same way you took the top cover out of the steering wheel column, you put this one in, and then it should pop down, but if not, a couple gentle pushes, taps of your hand will get it down to sit flat. I didn't have to hit it as hard as the video does. So the interface on this is basically identical to all the information you see here is what you're going to see here. The blue line comes up when you're in autopilot. When the nag comes up, the screen goes blue too. There's a message on the bottom telling you to take control and all that kind of stuff. The blue steering wheel shows you that it is in autopilot if the blue lines don't tell you. And everything on that screen is identical. It shows you everything. It shows you the acceleration bars and then the green regen bars. I like the interface. Just to the right hand side here, you just swipe over and this is your menu. You can toggle between CarPlay or Android Auto or the main screen or your front-facing camera. The front-facing camera, this one for me, I had to put it in between my license plates so you can see it's right to the ground and it works really good. This is one of the big advantages with this over the other screens that are larger. It's away from the vent, so you don't have the blockage as much, but you have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay along with the camera and in a touch screen. The previous 6.8 inch screen wasn't a touch screen. It was very cumbersome to use the jog shuttle wheels and stuff like that to navigate around. It didn't have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. That was a big deal breaker for many people. This touchscreen is pretty responsive. The system lags a little bit, but the touchscreen is really responsive. And I like the fact that in the menu here, you can go to the display and you can control CarPlay here or Android Auto. You can control the volume level right on the screen. Before, it had some kind of touch where you had to touch on this side of the screen and some kind of gesture to bring up the volume control. That was very cumbersome and a pain. This one's much better, that you can see the numeric numbers of what the volume is from 0 to 10. And as you can see, CarPlay is very visible. It's a smaller screen than the 9 or the 10 inch screen, being this one's only 6.8, so almost 7 inches. So anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 inches smaller, but it's closer to you. It's closer to the steering wheel. It's not over here behind where the vents are. So it's closer. So it's probably what, about 3 or 4 inches closer. So that makes up a little bit for the smaller screen, in my opinion. If they were to make a bigger screen on the mount, on the steering wheel mount, that would be better. But once again, you would be blocking the air. See, for me, I'm shorter, so when I sit like this, it's blocks a little bit of air. But if you're taller and you're up here, the air would come straight up here and hit you in the face if you're the type of person that likes air in your face. This screen works perfectly and looks amazing with the Hansshow yoke. If you're into the yoke, as you can see, this one here has the white yoke. Look down in the description below. I'll put a link down for it and use a discount code for it. It works great. With it being such a small screen, it'll also work with the steering wheel. With a regular steering wheel, it'll be such a small screen that you'll be able to see a vantage point right through the steering wheel, and that'll be good too. But with the yoke, it just stands out a lot better. Also, while you're in park, your car shows up there and shows whether you have your lights on or off. So it's almost identical to what's over here. Very consistent. The one good thing I like about this new interface is your speedometer. It says 0 here. I'm not in drive, so it doesn't say anything here on this side, but it is a larger font on this screen than it is actually on the Tesla screen. It also shows you when doors and trunks and stuff like that are open. If I close it, it shows closed. If I close the door here, it'll show closed. Not as good animation as Tesla, but still pretty good. Okay, a cool feature with this front camera is it's got a radar feature and it's got a sensitivity. So basically, when you're coming up here and see how the sensors came on there, when the sensors come on, then the camera, the front camera, automatically comes on no matter what screen you're on. Let me back up and do it again and show you. Even though I'm on this screen here, when I start going forward and the proximity sensors come on, then the camera will come on. That's a pretty cool feature.